defying death. Vape pen explodes in man's face. Nope, Halloween didn't come early this year. This is Idaho car salesman Andrew Hall, formerly an enthusiastic vapor. But Andrew has vowed to quit smoking for good after his vape pen blew up in his face. The explosion happened over the weekend when Andrew was enjoying a few toots of electronic smoke while getting ready for work. Andrew wrote on Facebook that he was vaping in his bathroom when his vape pen exploded. The blast was so powerful that it shattered Andrew's bathroom sink. The former vapist suffered second-degree burns to his face and neck and lost 7 teeth. Posting from the hospital ICU ward, Andrew wrote that he'd been pulling chunks of plastic, teeth, and foreign objects from his mouth, throat, and lips. Andrew said he'd been vaping for about a year and had properly maintained the battery of his vape pen. He claimed he'd never had an issue with overheating or anything like that, and said he wanted his experience to serve as a warning to others. Because as we've documented here at Tomo News many times now, vape pens do have a troubling tendency to explode in people's faces. And here's some examples.
E-cigarette explosion breaks man's neck, almost paralyzing him. 29-year-old Cordero Caples suffered serious injuries when his e-cigarette blew up in his face. On Friday, Caples, the Memphis-born Colorado Springs resident, was enjoying a vape break at work. Electronic cigarettes have been known to explode if the strength of the battery doesn't match the coil that heats up to vaporize the liquid. And it seems that's just what happened to Caples. His e-cig malfunctioned and exploded, breaking his teeth and fracturing his face and vertebrae. E-cigarettes have several parts, which are sometimes sold separately, and if the user isn't savvy, it could spell trouble. Caples was taken to Memorial Hospital in critical condition. He had spinal surgery on Sunday and is reportedly feeling better. A GoFundMe page has been started by his sister to pay for his medical expenses. He was using a Chinese-made Kangertech vaporizer, but according to a smoke shop employee in Memphis, the battery he was using was too hot, which may have caused the accident.
E-cigarette battery explodes in man's pants. A vapor from Kentucky got a whole lot more than a nicotine rush when his e-cig's battery exploded in his pocket. Josh Hamilton suffered severe burns to his right thigh in the fire at a gas station in the city of Owensboro last Saturday. Hamilton's pants were lit up like the 4th of July as he waited in line to pay for some snacks. In the blink of an eye, he goes from checking his pocket for change to running out of the store, shaking his leg in a desperate attempt to douse the flames. E-cigarettes are battery-operated devices which vaporize liquid, usually containing nicotine, which users inhale. And it seems the battery was the problem here. According to the Tobacco Vapor Electronic Cigarette Association, there have been 22 similar incidents reported since 2008. The association claims users often mismatch the lithium-ion batteries in e-cigarettes to the charger, which can be dangerous. It recommends users don't put e-cigarettes in their pockets because coins can short-circuit the battery when they rub against it. Hamilton was lucky that a gas station employee was on hand with a fire extinguisher to put out the blaze. Another customer then took him to the hospital, where he was diagnosed with second-degree burns. Hamilton said he hoped he wouldn't have to have surgery or skin grafts, but it was still too early to tell. One thing's for sure, though, he won't be putting an e-cigarette in his pockets again anytime soon.
E-cigarette blows up in Canadian teen's face. This 16-year-old Alberta teen was taking a toke on his electronic smoke when it suddenly exploded 2 inches from his face. Now, Ty Greer is recovering from a hellish amount of pain, so excruciating that at the time, he said he wanted to die. His father described it as a 2-foot by 2-foot fireball engulfing his son's face as they were in Ty's mother's Jeep. He said it burned the back of Ty's throat and had burned his tongue, and that if he hadn't been wearing his glasses, he might have lost his eyes too. The teen is being treated for first and second degree burns and had to undergo 2 root canals to fix some of his broken teeth. The e-cigarette was a Chinese-manufactured Woto Photo Phantom, purchased at this Alberta smoke shop. Poor kid. Seems no matter what you're puffing on these days, at some point, it'll blow up in your face. E-cigarette blows up in teen's face, burns hole through his tongue. On April 18th, 17-year-old Daniel McClelland told his mother he was going to quit smoking cigarettes by using an e-cigarette he'd recently picked up, a common transition for many smokers these days. Around 5:40 that evening, McClelland was picked up by a few friends at his home, heading out to the store. The teenagers were jamming out in the car as they drove through the neighborhood, so naturally McClelland broke out his vape. Seconds later, his friend Jesus Matias said he heard what sounded like a gunshot and turned to see flames. The teens all got out of the car, and that's when Matias saw his friend running down the street, badly injured. Bleeding from the mouth, McClelland ran all the way home. Not only did he lose a number of his bottom teeth, but his tongue had a hole blown through it. His mother called paramedics, who rushed him to a burn unit for emergency treatment. Daniel McClelland remains in hospital, recovering from his injuries. Reports of e-cigarettes exploding have been popping up all over the country, and experts have been placing the blame on the lithium-ion batteries overheating inside the devices. So, smokers, it seems like your best bet may be to just quit cigarettes altogether, because both smoking methods have proven to be able to mess you up pretty badly.